Hey guys, I got Robert Oller from Pest Request in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Excellent.
Yeah, man. So you run what is the number one pest management call center
yes, lead and service center. That's basically what we're doing here. Actually, the software itself is set up so that we have a very clear and easy way for customers to contact you. That's kind of the base of it. But the background is Pest Request is really a partner agency for companies looking to grow. We can get into it however and whenever you're ready, but I've got quite a bit of information about that.
Yeah. So let's talk to me about, because you've been doing this for what, like 10 years in this market? Okay. How did you get involved in this?
Yeah. So I've been in my entire adult professional career. I've been in sales and marketing. And for the last a little over a decade, I have been running Surefire Solutions, which is a company that really we help small businesses grow. And we do a whole bunch of media for small businesses. And we found our niche with pest control. And we spent over 10 years developing a lot of systems to help pest control companies grow, both with marketing, but also with how they set up their business so that, they're really leveraging residential customers, really, is the gist of it. But from there, actually, one of my oldest clients, Jerry Swoboda, he signed on with me a little over 10 years ago, and we have grown his business every single year. We've co-founded Pest Request together. And the idea is to encapsulate what we've learned in our experience to help pest control companies grow, and specifically single operators, because there's a lot of challenges that we face, and there's a lot of really neat ways to get around those challenges comfortably without so much pain, because growing a small business can be really painful. So
tell me about it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it really is a challenge for the single operator, because he does not have usually the sales and marketing background. And when marketing was simple, where you handed out postcards and asked for referrals. I mean, I've been in sales 30 something years. So I remember when it was just, hey, can you just give me 3 people that you think might want our product? And that was how I gathered requests, just asking for 3, and every customer I would ask for 3. And that was simple. In Miami, we found that's like really difficult, because most people will not want to give out information, and most people don't talk to anybody anymore. Everything is
right.
Digital.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So we saw our referrals drop in the last 7-8 years as social media took off, because people just share everything online.
Yes.
And their friends are not even in the same neighborhood. So like all my friends are, I got a friend in Texas, but I'm in California. Friend, on social media.
Yeah.
So this whole mentality of friends, I got people who you need to talk to your neighbors about their shrubs, because they're on your borderline and they're actually on their line. It's on your side. It says, we don't talk to our neighbors. I have no idea who they are.
Yeah. That's interesting. And that's kind of a situation that we face is, I mean, you said it right. I remember when it was Yellow Pages, and I'm sure you remember Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
Yellow Pages was a big thing. It's like, if you had a Yellow Page ad, you were in front of customers, but you had to pay a lot for that. And as technology has come, it's evened out the playing field. And so, a little bit of what we've learned, really is 2 big lessons, right? You got to do 2 things. You got to get in front of customers, and then you have to make sure that those customers are compelled to take action, to contact you, to call you, or to message you. And that's if you get it boiled down to that, then you say, okay, that's my process for getting sales. If I can figure out a system that works for that. And then you've got a whole other aspect, which is your business. And it's like, it takes a lot of work to get new sales. So you don't want to do that over and over and only be getting one sale from it. You want to do it over and over and be retaining customers for long periods of time. And that's where this other piece comes in. And the other piece is for single operators, your growth and your stability is your recurring residential customers. Right. If you can offer guaranteed year-round service, if you can offer something where they are just evergreen customers and they're on a monthly billing plan, then you're talking about, okay, a couple months of this and I've got a little bit of a base. 6 months in and I've got this base that's recurring that I've actually worked on. 1 year in and, oh yeah, this feels good. This is where it's at. Now we have a recurring base on the 1st and the 15th. And my lights are paid, my electric's paid, my technicians are paid, and I have money to go advertise and acquire new customers.
Right. Yeah. No, the biggest challenge that for me has been, in especially in our market is really unique to most of the country. People think it's not, but South Florida and especially the Miami market is really unique. Our biggest challenge is the cost of not only the marketing, but the cost of the sale. Because the cost of the sale is astronomical to get a one-time customer.
Yes.
So where we were doing Yelp ads, and those Yelp ads were costing us to acquire a customer it's around $225 to $250.
Right.
To acquire a customer that was going to be a one-time sale of maybe $350.
Right.
So by the time you were done, if you didn't convert to a recurring model, you lost money on every transaction.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because by the time we paid a tax and everything, it was gone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that happens really quickly. You see the cost of leads, especially with platforms like Yelp, because it's a controlled platform. They control their prices and they're pretty set. You go into Google AdWords and that can feel like the Wild West. Google AdWords is a place where if you're not careful, your money is gone. So here's what Pest Request does is, okay, we say this, we've got a couple of pieces of software and they're set up for you. So you can go onto our website right now, sign up, and you're a customer. All right. And here's what you get is, you get a customer facing app. So in the Android or the iOS store, your customers can actually go download Pest Request. When they log in, they'll see an app that actually looks like your business's app. And it's got one main function, and that main function is to send in service requests. So if you've got a recurring residential customer, you have this upsell and you can say, we have our own app. Anytime you see anything that you need to get taken care of, go ahead and shoot us a service request. We can see pictures, photos, and we can message back and forth. A couple of really important points there. One is the photos. And I don't know if you're doing this with your customers right now, but if you get a photo before you go out to see a job, you can, half the time at least, you're going to have the opportunity to identify something, know before you go, and bring what you need to take care of it. And that's huge. I mean, time is money, and then the gas is money. So dollars spent going over to see a customer's house just to find out, I got to go back to the shop to get what I need. That's, kind of a thing that we try to eliminate.
Right.
And then the other thing is communication with customers. It's the mobile technology world. So pick up a phone. Yes, you can do that. Message, that's really nice. I mean, direct messages, contact forms, that's common, but like being able to actually pick up the app and just say, hey, I have a service request scheduled. Let me check on the status of it. I'm going to message the technician, see what's going on, and they can message right back. So that's one whole aspect of this. What do you think about this? I'm sorry. I just want to give you
I'm listening to what it is that you're doing, because you mentioned about texting. I mean, we get a call. Let's give you an example. Goes to our call center and it's answered 24 hours a day. And we call that person back.
Yes.
5 minutes later, no response.
Right.
So what we do is immediately text them.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times, the text will get responded. The call won't get returned.
That's right.
That's what been, and then we're in a major city. So people talk about, well, in my market, that will never work because, well, if you're in a tiny little market where there's 2 pest control companies in 50 miles, it's a different mindset. But when you're in a top 10 market, like I am, where people are just so busy, they don't have time. And so I text them, I send them a link to our service page. I said, here's our demo videos. Here's our price sheet. Here's our thing. Oh, great. I'll be looking at that. And then we get, okay. And they sign up immediately and we get the text. It's literally probably 8 out of 10 transactions are done right over text and email. We've never actually talked to them.
Yeah. And that's great. And that's what people want,
Yeah. So,
and I would say, you say top 10 cities, I'd say any city over 100,000, you're talking about people who are, that's a good population. That's plenty to have the opportunity to grow year over year because you're looking at an area that has, plenty of residents. And there's probably, colleges or university towns all over the place. Those people, it's like anyone really, I get phone calls and I don't want to answer them. It's like half the phone calls I get today are spam. So it's just easier. And so the idea is, you have somebody who they send a service request through. I mean, that's the other aspect of this. Okay. So we have 2 products, which is Pest Request and Pest Request Plus. And Plus is we say, let's go a step further. Now you don't just have our lead and service center, which you can log into and the customers get the app, but you also have your own website. So you get a website set up and we integrate it into the lead service center. So if somebody submits a contact request through your website, it automatically shows up in the service center. You can just invite them and they'll be able to get an email, download the app, submit their first service request, send you the photo, and you're talking to them and you're up and running. It's a nice thing to have. It's another option and it's a big upsell and it's a very powerful tool for existing customers or anytime you're trying to say, hey, residential customers, we've got what you're looking for and stay with us. It's like customer satisfaction thing.
Right. So let me ask you. You mentioned something about downloading an app. Like I've got 30 something apps. I constantly am deleting apps that I don't use. Yeah. How is that working in the mindset of the customer? Oh, great. I got to install another app just to do this transaction, which they might think it's a one-time deal. I only want to service it. How is that working on that mentality where I don't want to install an app. I don't want to have to go through that whole scenario just to get a service.
Right. Well, at this point, you wouldn't have to do that. This is the nice thing is we are linked already directly to the website. So if you have the option, if somebody is on your website, they submit a contact form, you can just have that information going back and forth there. If they don't want to utilize an app, they don't have to utilize an app. It's just like giving them the option to use a phone. And, we're just saying, hey, here's your opportunity to use these things. What we find is with the app, the customers who like it are the customers who are using it. It's like, so you get something that you see and your technician says, send us a photo. It's like, okay, we can definitely send you a photo. I mean, that's a really nice feature to have, to be able to say, okay, here is what it looks like. Here's what I'm seeing. And you don't necessarily have to text somebody's cell phone if that's a privacy concern for you. It goes directly through an app. It's a communication option. And then on the back end for the single operator, it's a pretty robust lead system. So you can get notified with new leads. You can see when your service requests are scheduled. You can assign technicians. We're really trying to say, hey, there are huge companies out there with a ton of money to throw around, and we've been developing software long enough that we can make these tools accessible now to smaller single operators. We can make powerful technology tools and integrated systems affordable. And then on top of that, if you're part of Pest Request, what we're saying is, we do all of it. So we do AdWords management. We do full custom websites, if that's something you're looking for. But we're partnering together to set up businesses that are growing. And that's our point. It's not that we are an advertising company. It's that we are here to help single operators grow.
Right. So what you're talking about is you're doing full SEO or full web development with different ad platforms to generate the business.
Yes.
But talk to me about because here's the issue with a lot of guys that are solo operators.
Yeah.
They've been burned.
Yeah.
They've been burned a lot. I mean, it took me
a
good 2 years
by digital marketers. You mean?
Yeah, digital marketers offering the sun, third party referral platforms that just they give you 3 leads and they send it out to everybody in the market, and by the time you call back, nobody answers.
That's
everybody.
Done that.
So the small guy who says, "Man, this company is asking me for $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000 to develop my website. I'm going to spend anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a month on ad marketing to make this happen." I mean, if I don't have a budget of $2,000 to do AdWords in Miami, forget about it. It isn't going to happen. That's the reality. So how is it that, and you've been obviously doing it for 10 years, but
yes,
here's the other side of that. They have no idea of what they're really getting into, what they're wanting.
Right.
I mean, I want a website without SEO or without some type of direct response marketing is a paperweight. It's a digital paperweight. It's not going to get it. I mean, you have a glorified business card.
Right.
How do they start in this process and walk them through the process of dealing with you and saying, here's, we want to grow. Our website sucks. My nephew built it. Or it's a WordPress site and it's not even optimized, and it's a pain to deal with WordPress sites. We've had them. You need 1 million plugins to make anything happen, and speed is not there. You really got to go probably to a pure HTML site to get that speed. Talk to us about this whole process. I mean, of getting on with you, and what is it that they need to know about what they're going to be facing when they go into this new horizon that they're going to?
Absolutely. Well, you bring up really good points, because these are the exact issues that single operators go through, right? You're trying to grow and you don't know who to trust. And there's the tech world is infamous for this, because the entire language is jargon. So anytime I'm talking about websites, it's all specific stuff. It's like words that no common person is going to know or worry about. JavaScript, PHP, what's happening. So it really quickly became this whole bunch of fly by night contractors, and we've seen that. And what we do is say, okay, look, we're not a big fees up front kind of business. We are a long haul business, and we're not in it for your dollars coming to us. We're in it for your growth, for your actual business growth. So here's the process, right? You start with go to our website, which is pestrequest.com. Sign up if you want to have the pest request. Just the app, that's fine. We can get with us if you want to consult, or if you're ready to go for the website. Start with Pest Request Plus. We have a setup. It's already an out of the box setup SEO website for you. It's less expensive. It's an affordable version. And if you want, you can get more bells and whistles. Just contact us via the website, and it's all set up for you right there. And we'll get you a custom quote. What we do is we don't sell websites. We essentially build custom websites, and we rent them. It's not a typical traditional thing. The idea is, hey, look, nobody in 2020 needs to spend $2,000 out of the box to get a website. That's not the way it is. You've got companies like Wix out there making websites accessible. The problem is Wix and all of those kinds of companies, they won't get found. And that's the other issue. It's pretty funny. We start talking about this, and really quickly, it's a very complicated process. There's a lot of stuff happening, right? But the idea is you need something that is going to get found, that people will, when they see it, know, okay, hey, this business is worthwhile. And then you need to get that thing in front of customers. And so that's what we're trying to do. So we have websites, and then we'll do all of your marketing for you. You contact us, we'll get in touch with your company, we'll talk to you about what your marketing needs are specifically for your area, and then we'll go down the path of, okay, what kind of modular options do we have? We do a flat rate Google AdWords depending on what your spend is. So if you are doing up to $2,000 a month, which you can start at $500 if you're not near a big market, if your spend is lower, that's fine. Then from there, we'll do whatever you need. But in terms of covering your particular growth requirements. But here's what I would say about all of this is when you are focused on a smaller, more local company, and we have over 10 years experience in this, I realize that businesses can't just spend money and be okay. You have to spend money and get return. And so what we do is we talk to you about what kind of products and services are you offering, not your specific chemicals. How is it marketed? How is it set up? What is the name of your product? Do you have a residential recurring service? If not, you need to have a residential recurring service. Those customers need to stay. Then we talk about with Google AdWords, this is a really good one. And I don't know if you know this, but you can spend a ton of money. If you're bidding on things like pest control or pest control in my area, you're just blowing money out the door. I mean, those are big major keywords. You need to be going real specific and look at like really small targeted stuff. Yeah, I think
Pest Control Miami is $25 a pop.
Oh yeah.
For that,
which is not uncommon. Yeah. And it's not necessary, because if you say, okay, specifically look at some variants of cockroaches or cockroach sightings and that kind of thing, and then you word the ads correctly, suddenly what you're doing is you're not saying, hey, I'm going to shotgun approach, try to get everybody coming to me. No. I'm going to get people who specifically have the issues that my recurring residential service covers.
Right.
And then I say, hey, we have a one-time fee for this, or get on our one-time service, starter fee and our monthly retainer, and we'll take care of this for you all the time. And that's where it's at. I mean, that's where you have, that's where you have your growth. Actually, I have it's funny. Jerry and I, we started Pest Request after a little over 10 years together, working together on his business growing. And I remember early on, man, he just kicked and screamed going to AdWords. And after you grow into growth, and it's like 20% year over year, you're growing at a regular rate, not enormous growth, something that's sustainable for your company. He started sending me videos, and the videos are little clips, and they're on the 1st and the 15th of the month. And depending on what software you use, you'll click those recurring residential customers, and it spins like a jackpot to show you what the numbers are charging, and this jackpot is going up for him every month, because every month he takes on new customers. The next month on the 1st and the 15th, those recurring numbers are going up for him. And that's when hey, no matter what, I am protected from the slower months. I mean, this is a great time to do it, because you're talking about winter. It's like not everybody's going to be having the same pest issues in the winter. And if you have year-round protection, your business is not as exposed. You have a baseline income coming in.
Yeah, no, that's been our key to, with our business has been, and it's different because for instance, my business model changed. And after I was in it for about 6 years, I switched my business model, and I also switched the amount of service I was having. I was pretty much 95% lawn and ornamental. That's 100%. That's 100% recurring, or at least 95%. What we found is we started going into the GHP model. Down here was, it's not as recurring. It's only about 20-30% recurring. Most people, we have a big rental market. So in a higher rental market, we're about 50% rental. And so a lot of people are like, no, the landlord should be taking care of this, but he won't. I have to pay for it. I just want it solved right now. And then see what happens. And so we're always struggling with, do we continue in the lawn and ornamental route and grow that business, or do we keep pushing because our ad dollars? I mean, I went from a 3% now that we finally hit a wall in the growth, and COVID hit us and knocked our teeth for a couple months.
Oh yeah,
because the most people that were working, we were 50% rental market. The majority of people that weren't working are those people that are renters in apartments, which is a huge part of our business. And they weren't working. Husband wasn't working. Wife wasn't working. So they were living with roaches. All of a sudden they found it's a lot worse because they're constantly home now.
Oh yeah.
And we just had to basically go from a 3%, which was giving us 25% growth, start nailing that to 3X, about 10%, and seeing what it starts to do now. And we're hitting another part of this COVID thing where there's going to be another drop because, I mean, everybody's expecting this thing to shut down again because of the amount of cases. They're doing more testing, getting more results. More people are showing positive. Everybody's freaking out. So, I think I'm investing in toilet paper. Because that's safe.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's funny. Well, I mean, this is great. That's a really good opportunity to say, okay, hey, let's look at, for your business in particular, we would say, let's look at the numbers, right? And see where's your better gain and what are your current ad spends and how can we maximize your return on investment. But also, I would consider if you have a market, if hey, I've got this other market that's growing and it's a bunch of renters, I would consider making a recurring product specifically for them. Something that they would bite on that's maybe a little bit lower in terms of the cost of treating a larger square footage. Because I think that's that's valuable for them.
Yeah. So we're currently working on that, trying to create more route density in certain areas. That we can have more. That's our big thing now. That's my main focus, is that route density, because that's where our costs go down. And even if we have to drop our prices 30%, if we can get 100% more production in the same area, it really is what we really have to focus on now, is the cost reduction of driving these long distances to serve people, where we're more focused on the route density. Would it be fair to say, and then help me out with what's happening in the SEO arena? Because it seems like SEO is no longer, and we've seen the numbers from us, that SEO is not yielding what it used to in the traditional sense of website SEO, on page and off page backlink SEO. We've grown an entire, without even focusing on backlink strategy, an external backlink strategy. And it seems to be more of the Google My Business and the Google Local. And local seems to be the way now, and ad with doing ads versus investing so much in SEO as I did in the past. Talk to me about where that landscape is right now, what you see.
Yeah, it's, I would say SEO is this tricky thing because you get a lot of different types of SEO. And I think you're seeing a real separation between a very well done, traditional, old school concept of what SEO is, and then all of the marketed SEO that came after that.
Right.
So like a really properly SEO'd site is actually just written correctly. It's written correctly in code from the bottom up, so that a search engine can really understand what the page is about. And then if the content is written correctly on the page and it's written well, you'll notice a good SEO. I mean, that still makes a huge difference in markets all over the place. And when you buy SEO packages from places, that's where you get this thing that has diminishing returns now, because a lot of people have done it where it's like backlinks and meta tags. And meta tags don't really mean much anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty much data, because the bots, the algorithm and the bots have gotten so sophisticated that
yes,
the whole idea of keywords and keyword tagging,
gone.
it's gone because they can read almost like a human can and say, understand what's really on that page. So you can't really mess with it. So the old school sites are getting hit by these algorithms saying you're really irrelevant because you're just stuffing keywords on a page. And then, so a lot of the SEO like, what is it? For WordPress, which is really popular.
Yoast plugins,
like the Yoast plugins are pretty much not really that relevant anymore.
Yeah, they're not that relevant. Some of them, like Yoast, does a really good job of minimizing what they're putting out. And so if it's used correctly, you're essentially just giving a little bit of information to the search engine and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Anytime you're trying to stuff with keywords or anything like that, it's diminishing returns. And the more people that do it, fine, the better. I mean, because it makes it so that they're kind of in this loud, more noisier segment. And then what you'd really want to do is simplify it and write really good, clear content. Because you're right. At this point, a computer can kind of read like a person. So if you have the content clear and, it's funny. I think that being positive is important, adding value and making it so that you are essentially trying to be your best. I mean, your website, your presentation of your website should be, hey, this is the best we've got. This is who we are. This is what we do. And we're really proud to do it. And if it's well written and it's well done, you can make it so that you actually do have an impact on SEO because you've got this quality writing, and you've got something that when people come to it, they're going to have a little bit more of a kind of a quick subconscious decision that they're making about it.
Right. So your content that's on your site really needs to have really good copy to convert.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is where I see a lot of the
to get found.
So you're doing, it's still the whole thing that you have to write for two people. You got to write for that search engine, and you got to write for the human being because you have to have good copy. I see so much bad copy, and
it's amazing.
And the problem that we have with the SEO writing is that it all gets farmed out to third world countries where the English is terrible, and it was for the idea of stuffing keywords and being relevant, where they, a guy in Malaysia or a guy in India or a guy in Pakistan might not be able to write vernacularly for this specific audience. And that
happens.
That's been a huge problem. Yeah.
So we have a feature right there. So one thing, just to finish what you were saying, and then that ties into the Google My Business, ties into all of those other pieces, which, if they're all done right, that's what you really want. That's good SEO. And then you talked about Google Local being on top. It's pretty amazing. If you have multiple locations where your links show up and it's consistent verbiage, the click-through rates on all of those go way up. And the numbers like 20 years ago were staggering. 10 years ago, it was like, if you were in AdWords and the natural links prior to maps coming up, you would get like 70% more click-throughs just having two. Now you have the opportunity to be on Google Local, Google AdWords, Google Maps, and just that natural SEO. If you can get up there and dominate 2-3 of those spots, I mean, you're getting good coverage, especially if you're doing it in all of the small areas of business. That's where you're really making money. So you compete for major pest control keywords, but you also got to get the small stuff. With regards to, the content, we actually do use WordPress. And here's the thing, right now we're using WordPress. And here's why we use it is because as a software company, we develop for it. So we don't have to use those plugins. And this is exactly kind of the issue that you end up finding is a lot of companies will use plugins for their websites because it's just an easy modular thing to do. But there's all kinds of technical issues that slow it down. So what we'll do is we have a very sleek SEO'd setup for WordPress. You can sign up for that as you're checking out. You can option to have our website set up. We have entomologists who are also writers who live in the United States who write specific content for websites. We do monthly articles if that's something your company wants for future SEO. And that's another way, we talk about content dominating search engines. If you're in a big market and you really want to be a long-term growth kind of person, then set your website up like you are the resource. Set it up so that you have information in a hierarchical setup that is massive. That's maybe not something for single operators, but for companies like yourself, that's a very good long-term strategy.
Yeah,
set
we do
yourself
that.
up to be on the top of search engines. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the other things is trying to figure out the canonical writing, all the silos to put everything in and have that good structure on the site. And a lot of guys, and the challenge that I've always had with developers is that they're great at developing structure, but then they're terrible at the marketing.
Yeah.
They don't they'll build this great, perfectly structured site that couldn't sell anything because the writing is so horrible. And when people don't understand that, you got to have writer, you got to have a copywriter, you have to have a good visual designer so that the UX experience is there. And a lot of the problem, you hire a developer and the developer is great at developing and the UX, the engagement, that experience that we're now, because it's no longer customer service, is about really customer experience.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. That's right.
It's what they experience from that first click.
Yes. Yeah.
And
that's exactly right.
And we're used to customer service being people calling in and resolve a complaint, where if the experience isn't there from the get-go when they engage with your site or your marketing or whatever, it all goes down from there at that point, because we got the issues with the technicians. So everything has to be so cohesive, and that we have to be mindful of that. And a lot of the times, even technicians think in the same way as developers. Chemical process, solving it, and the whole issue of this new world of a user experience it becomes an afterthought, or to them because they like it because they're 55, 60 and they like this design and they think it's the greatest thing since sliced cheese. Yeah. In the real world, real world, it's not going to perform.
Right.
And we've had 3 site designs in ours in the last 4 years.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
You got to constantly then plan to constantly upgrade, redesign, restructure to meet the new demand. It's no longer that you build a website and it's good for 5-6 years.
Yes.
And we're on our
that's
fourth
actually
one
funny.
Now.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because the developer comment is really funny because, you don't get a lot of people who can write websites who would also think of the appropriate things to put in there. And it's not necessarily their fault. Developers are important too.
Yeah.
But sometimes they miss on the marketing aspect of it, and it can be funny. That the interesting thing is, I started in marketing. That was I started as a sales and marketer, and I actually started Surefire Solutions, which is a media company that I've been growing for a little over 10 years. That's the one where we started advertising with Jerry. And what we learned pretty quickly is, you're not trying to keep them. You almost want them to forget the website, right? The website's really there for 2 things: to be found. It has to get found, because if nobody sees it, no big deal. And then 2, to get them to take action. That's it. And there are a lot of ways you can do that. And we have done hundreds and hundreds of websites for hundreds of different companies, and found some very important and clear formulaic ways to help engage user response. One of them is, you consider mobile these days. Everybody's on a mobile screen. Getting call to action buttons that are automatically adjusted for your mobile screen, where they can just tap to call right away. That's seriously valuable. You can have easy, accessible buttons, and we can track using Google Analytics to see what kinds of response people are getting. And it's huge. Having a smart design makes a big difference.
Right.
So our designs are all about doing that one thing, really. Get found, obviously, but the design is there for converting a visitor into a customer. You want somebody to immediately think, oh, okay, this person can handle my problem. It shouldn't be really a thought, right? If it's a thought, then it's an issue. If they're like, this looks sketchy, that's a problem. Right. As far as what they're looking for, though, they're looking for a service that is going to clearly handle what they need, their problem, at what seems to be a fair and affordable rate from people who seem to be friendly and approachable. It's like, that's really, at the end of the day, this is a service industry. You're trying to just give people a service that they need. And so everything else should get out of the way.
Yeah,
that's our approach to it.
We as pest control people, we're thinking solving the problem where from the customer's perspective, they're buying a service, and we're in the service industry, whether we're in garage doors or pest control or plumbing. We forget that we are in a service business, and people want to be catered to and served. Yes, and communicating that to where, again, it comes to the brand and the branding of that promise of an experience.
Right.
And pest control is one of those things where it's not glamorous. It's not sexy. It's not like, I'm gonna get my car detailed and it's gonna look so hot. My kitchen.
Take some photos, some selfies after it's done.
Nobody taking pictures of their kitchen after they've got it cleaned out. Yep. It's just, there's a certain amount of stigma. It isn't like the AC where it's a comfort thing where, oh wow, we need an AC guy like now because it's Texas and it's 95 degrees in the summer. Oh, yeah. and we need a guy in an hour. I mean, we literally got companies here who offer 1 hour service in Miami. Guaranteed.
That's incredible.
Around the clock. 24/7.
Incredible.
1 hour service. So
it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah. So we're competing in this market where and how old are you? Because you're like in your 30s.
Just about 40, getting close.
Okay. I'm
38.
50.
38.
I'm 50. Okay. I remember we were making comments about the microwave society where people would plug in and wait 6 minutes.
Right.
6 minutes is an astronomical long amount of time today for this new generation. So if your site doesn't load in 2 seconds, according to Google, and you're there waiting for 20 seconds, they lose it. So this idea that we're in a business where speed matters and response matters and response, how quickly you get back to people, all this is becoming, especially for the millennials that we're serving now that are having children. As I said, if they'll call my call center, we get the call, I get the within 30 seconds, I'm calling back and they're not answering. And one lady yesterday says, oh my gosh, you called back so quickly, because nobody called back. We understand that. I do surveys here in my area, and I'll call 12 companies. I did it 4 years ago. I called 12 of the top companies that appeared on the first page of Google. I said, I want to know what my competition is like. I called them all out. Only 2 came out.
Yeah.
Only 2 responded to my calls. Out of 10 that are spending all that money to be on the first page of Google.
I mean, that's where that old single operator mentality really can work well for people who are ready to go. It's like, you think when you're starting a small business, it takes a lot, and how much it takes to get that lead.
Yeah.
You call back immediately because it's worth it to you. It's like, and that's where you make or break it. It's like, if you're going to get that, spend that time, spend that money, get that lead, you've got to follow up. You got to do your part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about that online engagement with your platform. So I know that you spoke about it, but so basically you're creating a website that has a place where somebody can download an app. The app helps them interface immediately with pictures and to solve problems, that ID stuff. So instead of texting, it's all in there. What else can the app do? In as far as is it designed for lead generation only, and or is it designed for scheduling? Is designed for collecting money?
Right.
What else is involved in that app, or what's the main focus of it?
Right. So Pest Request is a few things, right? We've got a customer facing app, and really this is where our company is unique, and you're going to find a big difference between us and the other people is because we're a marketing partner for pest control companies. We're thinking from the direction of the customer, the end user, the end customer.
Right.
Our experience tells us if you give that end customer what they want in the way they're looking to get it, you've got them. I mean, that's it. So we're catering to them. So the lead product that we have is a customer facing software that they can download if they want to. And it's a great value for the residential upsell, that recurring residential upsell. You say, hey, we have our own app. If you can contact us anyway. If you use the app, you can send a photo, you can message with us. Be notified when you go through the service request on the app, you're not only submitting the photos, you're letting them know where in the house, the technician, where in the house or in the yard it is, and maybe what you think you may have identified, and you're saying your times, your availabilities. So you do say it is for scheduling. Once you submit that, the pest control company is going to be able to say, okay, we've got this service request that just came in. How do we want to handle it? This is their availability. Let's see if they're available tomorrow instead, or something like this. You can message the customer directly in real time. That customer gets a message right away, and then they'll be notified once the appointment's set. So it is a scheduling application. If they don't want to use it, they don't use it. It's a value upsell. You, as the pest control company, have the back-end software, which will manage any service requests coming in from the app. It also manages service requests coming in from websites. So if you have our Pest Request Plus, we can integrate, depending on your website, we can integrate our service center with yours. Otherwise, you have one of our websites. Our out-of-the-box website is excellent for single operators. It's a great way to start, and it's extremely affordable. And we have a professional content set up if you would like that service as well. After that, if you need a larger custom site, that's great. We handle that as well. And that all goes through and routes through that software right there.
Yeah.
Was that your original question? Is you were talking about
I just wanted to make sure I was clear on it. But you're mostly focused really on the marketing part for the customer acquisition is your main. Is bringing in that customer for that pest control company. This is just a way that they can engage, but your major thing is going to be the marketing part, whether it's web design, ICO, or mainly which direct response type of marketing that you're choosing.
So we are a full marketing agency for pest control companies. Our leading product or software suite is a very valuable add-on for companies that are thinking about marketing with us, or just that recognize that, recurring residential customers, are where it's at, and giving them value adds is important. And we're giving them something that, getting a custom app is cost prohibitive, to say the least, right? Yeah. So having the ability to have an app that is user friendly, it's set up for a customer, and it will help them to deal with something that, as you said, has stigma. I mean, this is not a glory seeking job. There's a need, and the service handles the need. And it's the idea of giving a customer an ability to get through that easily as possible and as comfortably as possible. And today it's like scheduling is a pain in the butt. It's not fun to schedule appointments on either side, because you got to deal with, is the house ready? Do I feel okay? Everybody's home. So it's having the ability to communicate with the technician, with the company comfortably. It's not getting texts from random numbers. That's a useful thing for customers. And so that's an immediate right out of the box piece that's available on our website. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Have you guys been working to, because I can see where this would be useful if it was integrated with another type of service, like we use Pest Routes for all of our management, for scheduling, contracts, everything. Is there something like or Pest Pack or any of the other ones that are out there, including Gorilla Desk, which is becoming very popular, to integrate that with those pieces of software through an API that would facilitate from a more centralized approach versus one guy? Like we have to now.
Right.
I mean, I've got two techs. I've got one, and so I can't. And I'm very mobile. I'm trying to be as mobile as possible for myself because I want it, but I have to be more centralized now, where all of our scheduling and everything is done through a platform and all the contracts because of just the gross order of magnitude. There's no way to manage that anymore. From a simple app on the phone, although I would want to. What are you looking at there as far as something that you're looking at that, or what's the deal? Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. We've looked at integrating, and after some discussions, we thought, well, we've done the hardest part so far, and I think that the next step for our development will just be to offer those things. So, have seamless payments through the app. That's a big thing. Be able to do all the scheduling at this point. We have the majority of the features and the functions we need to take it so that we can just be a little bit of an industry disruptor, and have a piece of what's available in terms of that, specifically because we're trying to do this differently. I've been in software. I have built software companies now multiple times, and run a media company for over 10 years. And at the end of the day, what you do for work is what you live. It's your life. And I think that it's really important to do things that are valuable to you and feel like they offer value to other people. And so for me, I know what it's like to be a small business person. I know what it's like to be out there and not be protected. It's intense to have bills come in and to have responsibilities and to know that, hey, at the end of the day, the only person who's going to get this done is me. Right. And so we're trying to give the big technology tools to the smaller guy at an affordable rate. I don't know. I mean, you've dealt with these other companies, and it's X amount to get started. And then how much more, are you looking? Oh, you want this module? Okay, well, that's going to be X amount more. And you want this module? That's going to be X amount more. And that's just for your software. That's not even for a person marketing you. Right. It's like, it doesn't have to be like that. Software has been developed long enough, and these platforms have been developed long enough where this stuff shouldn't be and doesn't have to be as expensive, especially in the situation where a company is partnering with smaller companies or locally, not smaller, but local owned companies to do their marketing.
Right. Just to get a perspective of what's the average size of your customer, like, who's your ideal customer for you in this industry? Is it the 10, route guy that's doing 2 million, or is it the 1 to 2 guy, or just a solo operator that says, this is just too difficult. I need to, I'm a software guy. So I mean, I come from software background. I understand.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Software, to me, about automation. If I can, I'm constantly looking to automate everything, so that I can get the best ROI. So I need the least amount of employees to solve the problems. So the whole idea is, if I can get an integrated solution that cuts down on 10 hours per week.
Oh yeah. Notice the difference.
That's $1,000. 10 hours a week is, $1,500 to the average small tech. I mean, that's a lot of dough. What's your
opportunity cost?
So who's really your ideal client for you in your avatar of a client?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything from a starting company, we've helped people just start in markets to, I would say comfortably a couple $1 million in revenue. We deal with companies that are larger than that, but the majority of our companies fall into, if you're somewhere between 100,000 and 2 million, and we see, you see the most consistent growth. It's funny because you can see growth in any size as long as you're approaching the problems correctly.
Right.
But the real fun growth is, there's companies who are making 100,000 to 750, 800,000. I mean, because those first changes, when you're going year over year and you're saying, okay, I got 20% more this year. Like, let's write down the goal for next year.
Right.
I'm going to write a big number. It's like, yeah, do it. Write a big number. And then we'll invest in marketing appropriately, not at a pace that's going to make you feel like you're drowning, at a pace that's going to help you grow. Right. So, and you grow up to 200, then 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. Those are nice numbers to hit. So, I think that's probably the way I would generally look at it in terms of what kind of revenues you're getting. Yeah. And then we go enterprise too. I mean, larger, we've dealt with a lot of larger companies on a lot of different, types of marketing.
So you have enterprise software that can help them if they're larger. Yeah, because a lot of the times we're just really designed for the 2 to 3 man operator, or we're really looking for that company that's doing $1 million because it is an enterprise software. And it's not cheap. When I understand that when I was looking for enterprise software originally, it was like $10,000 to do a lot of the things that we wanted to do just to implement. When I start looking now into HR development, $10,000.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh, big time.
Easy. So I'm looking at all these things that I'm going to have to invest in. Yes. As soon as I'm able to hire an HR person and understand that there's a huge cost that comes, and the complexity of growth. I'm looking at what it was like when I'm at 3 people. And the complexity that's going to be when I'm at 9, and trying to stay ahead of that. Yes, because I got to do it. I got to do it both. And a lot of the hurdles that you have to overcome with a lot of these smaller guys is just a hurdle up here that they don't understand what they're really going to get into.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And this is where I look at it. I look at the future and I say, okay, what's understanding the complexity between 3 people and 9 people? That it's not 3x, it's more like 300,
much larger,
like 300x, and especially when you're growing in software development and all that, you understand that the growth and the cost associated with all this. So this is where I'm trying to get my head around is, who's this ideally for? Because the guys are listening to me. Is this for me? Is I'm just a one guy, or I've got 3 guys now, and I'm these hurdles that I can't seem to get over.
I'd say contact us. Yeah. If you're any kind of those issues, we help handle. And it's like if you're just starting out, if your revenue's up to $1 million, if you're past that point and you want to talk about, hey, what are the potentials going forward? Contact us. This is what we do. We work with pest control companies, and we've done it long enough to bring a lot of very unique experience to the game. I mean, I think there's not a lot of marketing companies that will also have their hands in, hey, let's talk about what your product offerings are. Let's talk about how you're going to make it so that you are offering to all of the markets that you're trying to hit. And, you're right. It's like that growth, you go from 3 to 9, and it is almost asymptotic. It feels like it goes to infinity so quickly. The real important thing that I know, from your experience, is having your foundational stuff, your basic stuff covered, making sure that you know how to properly schedule everybody, know what your basic service offerings are. If you get and you can't do that without some stability, you know?
Right.
And so that's like the message to the guys who are out there and they're hustling hard to get money every month. It's like, make it easier on yourself. We will talk to you about ways to do that, to increase your recurring residentials, to make it so that, you know, you're maximizing your slow, comfortable growth. We're not promising rocket kind of stuff. That's not safe, you know, right? I mean, you grow too quickly and it's not a good thing.
Yeah, no, I've been dealing with a couple of guys that have grown too quickly and now it's a nightmare. I'm comfortable with that 20-25% growth in the marketplace. That's been comfortable. You know, obviously the profit margins are have to be there too. So we focus on that, you know, 15 to 20%, which is hard to get. So we're really, you know, and we're in a market that's really struggling right now. It's pretty bad. Yeah. So we just got to, you know, be really wise of where we're putting those pennies, and the ROI, you know, evaluating that ROI.
And that's where you're dealing with really unique problems that are important. It's like you said earlier, you know, it's like you've got these people who are not necessarily on a recurring program. And if you can get them on one that's maybe structured for them, then you do have the ability to get those dense routes. You're not just chasing jobs here and there. They're planned out. And so the week is a lot smoother. That time goes a lot faster. You know, it's like people can hit all this stuff and then it costs you less.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. It's just because you're in the issue of marketing, and this is important to me as a small business owner. How good can you get? Let's say I'm in an area, and I'll throw this scenario at you. I'm focusing really big on like route density. This is my major thing when we're on it. Okay. And I'm in an area where literally on this side of the street for about 2.5, 3 miles.
Okay.
Literally on this side of a road where it's called South Dixie Highway. On this side, very, very affluent. We're talking $500,000 to $3 to $4 million estates. Mm-hmm. On this side, through the same zip codes, it's a much lower area, the $200,000 to $300,000. And people are saying, wow, $200,000 homes, that's expensive. That's in a bad neighborhood in Miami. Yeah. I mean, that's not getting you anything. $200,000 isn't buying you anything. You're much better probably in an apartment, on a nice luxury apartment for the same money than you are living there.
For sure.
But within an area around me of, I did a less than 5 mile around me. I think it was like 1 mile, actually. We got like 50,000 homes.
Okay.
And what I'm looking at is I've done micro marketing before where we do farming in a very small area and just bombard the heck out of it to get that route density. What would be a strategy that you would implement and say, hey, you know, to get, you know, you got 50,000 homes around you. What would be your best strategy to really, and even going as multiple platforms, multiple media, where we're talking about maybe Facebook marketing combined with Twitter marketing combined with Google AdWords. What would kind of be a strategy there that you would use? Because that's where a lot of the guys are. They're in a very small area. They're not multi-county, multi-state. It's, for me, it's very compact. I got 2 million people in one county.
Right.
What would you look at as far as a strategy to say, hey, I could, you know, can I implement that?
Well, okay. First, because pest control is a problem-solving thing, you want to reach them. The best, lowest hanging fruit is reaching them at the time when they've got the issue. So that's when they're searching for you, right? In the old days, that would be the yellow pages. It's like, we got to call the exterminator back then, right? Now you got to look up a pest management company, which is different. Yeah. You want to get them on Google. Really, that's the first place I would start. I would look at your Google AdWords and I would say, let's narrow this down and let's get it real right. Because if you get it really good, if you focus time on it, and it is a smart campaign that is set up appropriately, then you can say, okay, am I getting a good ROI on this? By which I mean, not am I getting money back, but am I spending money? When we start AdWords campaigns, we start them almost closed, and then you slowly open it up. So you're never blowing through a bunch of money. And as you start to open it up, you see, okay, are people hitting this? Are people clicking? Is my targeting right? But if you can target it, if you're talking about a small geographic location, then you want to hit them at the time of the sale, and you want to give them a message that, really shows very clearly that, hey, you're the local guy and you're there for them. You talked about millennials earlier and the convenience of using quick response kinds of things like messaging. There is another aspect that's happening right now that is really important to identify. And there's a morality thing that's happening. And if you want millennials, you have to align yourself with a sort of value system that shows some level of morality or value. I mean, and part of that is you're a local business. Boom. That's immediate points. I mean, if you're a local business, you need to tell them you're a local business, because that is valuable to them. They want that more than they want a Terminex. Terminex is not the name for them. Right. And then the other thing is sharing some pieces that are maybe family, not too personal, just something that shows them. I mean, you're in Miami. It's like, there are very specific ways that you would want to target that. We would look at what's the messaging currently going on in your community. What do your demographics look like? And then have that available so that when they do see the AdWords, when they see the ad itself, it speaks to them in the exact thing that they're looking to do, whether it's a specific pest that we bid on, right? Or if it's just that area, and then promote your recurring services. Yeah. That we really want to promote your recurring services. Yeah. Yeah. Because you want those customers and you want to keep them,
Yeah. We want to keep them for life. The good thing about us is, which I've been telling people for years, is we convert maybe 20 to 30% from one time. Mm-hmm. And that's our focus.
That's great.
Getting that more conversion. A lot of people are in other areas would say, no, we convert 50 to 80%. We're in a very low market. Yeah. We're in a very, but the good thing about it is we actually don't have contracts, and we never have. We actually keep those clients 3 to 7 years. I mean, I've got clients that we started 14 years ago. We still have a large amount of those. So our cancellation rate really is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 5 to 6%. And a lot of the time is with the apartments, they'll say, yeah, I want it. And then after we've done 3 services, and for 3 months or 9 months, well, I haven't had the problem anymore, and they'll take the chance. And then sooner or later, they're going to call us back in 6 months because we know what the problem is. But we're really at that 6% cancellation rate right now. That's been our normal, versus the 30 to 40% that I'm seeing other companies go through. So it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting with you, and it's come up a couple of times, but I would really have a long conversation with you about what those apartment customers look like, because you want them, and they will want and need service. I mean, it's like, you just have to find the right way to make it so that you're not underpricing your other stuff. Maybe you have a product or service that's specific for them, and it gives them the option to have a value add if they want to.
We're looking at that now. We're doing we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. We're going to be doing a Black Friday in those markets. Okay. So what we're doing is we're targeting like right around here. I've got literally within a walking distance. Not kidding. 2,500 within walking distance. I mean, literally, I can put a technician on the ground, drop him off, and say, you're going to be servicing this entire area and never need a vehicle.
Right.
2,500
apartments.
Apartments, 2,500 units, and we don't get the management side of it. We get the individual renters, and because we got a combination of condos and apartments where they own the units, but they're still responsible for the pest control. So what we're looking at is focusing like every Friday on one area. And saying, one Friday a month so we can compact, get 20, 30 units done in a day, and then bring down that cost so that, and we're constantly in your area every 3 months. So you only have this one day to take advantage of this price. So it doesn't cannibalize our bigger business. Where people are saying, well, why can't I get that for my house? Well, you're a house, it's driving distance and time. That's
exactly it.
And with route density, even if we bring down our price 30, 40%, we have that efficiency of doing 200% of the business in a day. So we're looking at that strategy now as something, because these guys, it sucks for us because we're not getting the business, but it sucks for them too, where they're like, we're still unemployed. Yeah. We worked in restaurants. Yeah. We worked here. We're not. I went back to work, but my husband hasn't, or my wife. I've gone back to work, but my wife hasn't. That's been a real issue that we're dealing with. And they're like, I just can't swing your prices because we have been a super premium company. So looking at the diffusion of innovation, our customers have been those early adopters that say, I want the organic, I want the natural, I want this, I want, because we are in a niche market. So now we're trying to get into that more mainstream, competing head to head with the larger company where we can compete on price and quality. But it has to be the route density. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because I can't accomplish that when we're driving 30, 40 minutes for every client in Miami. It's super congested.
Right.
So that's why I'm focused on the marketing part, saying how do we get, that local area and just hyper focus on that.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, then you're really doing micro marketing, right? You're looking at your very specific places and each unit you can target that geographic location and have it. So when they get to a page, they see if that they're one of those apartment complexes or condo complexes, they can just click it and see information about when you treat and what the special rate is. I mean, you can have them feel like they are part of a special rate program with their apartment without getting the apartment involved. It's like, you don't have to, it's your option. And then, by the way, what you're doing, it's really right. Cause you said that's super premium. It's like, you want every price point that you can hit. You want to have offerings for the higher end. You want to have offerings for the people who can't necessarily afford it. I mean, whatever demographics you want to hit, definitely have those offerings for them so that you can maintain and, recur and grow. Because man, that's a lot of people,
Yeah. And we're talking just in one area. I mean, we're not talking about the zip code. We probably have 50,000. No, I would say probably about 5,000 in one zip code. And the zip code is only, 8 minutes across, to drive around. So we're looking at hyper targeting micro, one zip code.
Yeah, absolutely.
And figuring out, we're looking at we're looking at Nextdoor as a potential, source for us because it's so compacted that I'm thinking Nextdoor will probably be that in combination with Facebook, in combination with Adwords. To do it.
That'd be interesting. What's that? Sorry. Go ahead. I have always heard interesting things about the third party. Like when you get into a third party, it's like there's a lot of control from that particular place. So Nextdoor, Home Advisor, Yelp, all of those. So I'd be interested to hear what your experience is. With that.
I mean, so far with the other two has been, terrible,
expensive.
Well, and the thing is that we get so many tire kickers that say, I want a $35 service, and our service used to start at $355 minimum, and to get started, and then these guys are I just want this or I want that, or things that we don't even do, like bats and all these kind of things that we're not in it. So we don't have any control over our market. You got to call
Pest Request, okay? Because Pest Request will handle this for you, okay? We'll do all of this for you. So essentially, here's what you're dealing with, right? Is you get leads that aren't pre-qualified. And that's the really, really clever thing about using AdWords correctly. And like we said before, AdWords can be a black hole of money if you're not doing it right. But if you have somebody who's doing it right, you can pre-qualify people before they even click your ad. That way you're not wasting money. And you pre-qualify them by telling them specifically what you're doing and where it is and how much it's going to be. And then when they click through and they see your website, you have them, not three companies, not someone else. It's you paid for that lead, and that's your lead, and you get to give them any information you want. And if you're getting them off of Google, you're getting them because they need the service,
Yeah.
It's not because they're just wondering about it. You know,
that's
the other services are for browsing.
Yeah. That's been my with where we're going next is really to go to AdWords. But I know what kind of budget we kind of need. If we're going to hyper target, maybe a lower budget is going to be, but if we're targeting the county, easy, or even a region of the county, it's so freaking competitive. You see how many, I see how many ads I see on a daily basis when I plug in from an area. It's super competitive. So of course the rates go up because it's so competitive, but we were looking at easily a $2,000 a month, just the ad budget, just for AdWords, if we wanted to play in that arena.
I think you could spend any amount of money and you should have some ROI, as long as you're spending more than $500. I think at $500, it gets a little difficult in an area, but if you spend $1,000 or $1,500, here's the trick is, those keywords, and this is one of the reasons we're a little bit different, right? Is because we specialize in pest control, and we've done this for a long time.
Right.
So we're not just going to spend your money. It's like what we're trying to do, and we're flat rate. So I don't want you spending more money. I'm not trying to make a percentage when you spend more on your ads. That's not a good thing. And a lot of companies that do AdWords management, they'll set it up so that they'll make a percentage off of your ad budget. We don't do that. If you spend past a certain tier, we're going to say, okay, we need another amount per month, because it takes that much to manage this budget. It takes those man hours to be in here and manage it appropriately.
Right.
But really what we're going to do is we're going to set up comprehensive. They're like trees. I mean, you look at it and it's like a tree. It's like you got this main or account, and then several big branches are your big campaigns. And then you really go down to the fine details and you make it so that you're not bidding on the same keywords other people are bidding on. That's why those prices are up there. If you're paying a lot and you're not getting the ROI, it's because you're bidding on the same things everybody else is bidding on. And there's ways to get around that, because not a lot of people know how to use AdWords correctly. And even the larger agencies, even in big metro markets like yours, there's not a lot that are using them in a finely tuned way. Right. So there's a lot of ways to get around this. And there's, at the end of the day, there's plenty of business.
Yeah, no, there is. That's the beauty of it. I mean, we can compete. We can see it. We can see where we have our USP compared to everybody else, our niche. Right. We're trying to stay in that blue ocean. So we don't get into that bloody pricing competition. Yep. So, we can still go head to head with, being 30% more, and compete. So that's how we're starting to take off. I mean, from 1 to 2 technicians to 3 technicians, it really tests you. It really does push you. Yeah. And you got to what worked when I was a 1 tech, 2 tech isn't working right now. And we knew we would hit a wall somewhere. It's just, we didn't expect it to be COVID that hit us to the wall. But that's we hit the wall. We stagnated, and we've lost some government accounts that we had because they changed their whole process of how we were able to, qualify and all this. And that cost us big money at the same time. So we got hit with COVID. Yeah. We got hit with those government accounts. So we took a beating. And luckily, we're still able to keep our guys working. It's just the profit is shot, and you got to shell out the money for the marketing now. And most people would hold back, but I believe in this is the time to 3X it. And, we went to 10% and said, just let's do it, because it's going to be a bloodbath if we don't. In the end,
it's definitely an important time to retool, though. This is a really good opportunity for companies who experience a big stop or experience a big change to look at their product offerings and think, okay, how am I doing this? And are there other ways? Are there ways that I'm missing business? I mean, the apartment thing is one of them, but we could look at your recurring revenues with your residentials and see what opportunities are there. Not to price gouge by any means, just to make sure you're giving opportunities, because there's a lot of opportunity in major cities like yours. And whereas COVID is definitely something that's hit a lot of businesses. At the end of the day, if you've got pests, you need someone out there, you know, and so you're providing a service that's a needed service. There's people that need it. There's ways to grow, you know?
Yeah. I think we're going to hit a really warm winter for us. It's going to be a wet one too, based on the patterns that we're seeing. So that is going to help us through the winter, where if we get really cold, a lot of things die down, but if they stay wet and the temperatures stay high, we'll have a good winter. There will be a lot of problems, especially with plant diseases. People will still more, and so we're seeing what happens in the next 90 days. We've got this presidential transition that everything is on hold in the country. So a lot of people are, especially the people who are, my clients. They're very wealthy. Yeah. They're holding on to their money. They're being more savvy. They're like, hey, do I need to spend $4,000 or $5,000 a year with you? Is there a way I can spend, $3,000?
Yep.
And they're asking. Unfortunately, trees and insects don't care about this economy. Yeah. They don't read financials. So you want to maintain that $10 million estate, that it has a cost. So we're looking at all that. Anything that you want to leave us with, that you want to talk about that I haven't brought up that, I should have?
Yeah, no, we are Pest Request. We are here to help the locally owned pest control operators. I think that we've got some great software available for folks, a customer facing app, a service request center that is very useful. Oh, and you know what? We set up a promo code for you and your audience. It's Pest Geek. So if you check out with Pest Geek in all caps, you'll get 3 months at 40% off.
Sweet.
So it's pretty steep discount. So please try it out. And let us know. We are in touch with our customers. We are, on one hand, a software suite to help you get your work done. And on the other hand, we're a full service partner here for you. And frankly, I'd love to chat with you. We can go over all kinds of things. We've looked at a lot of pest control company stuff, and, we do a good job. And Miami is, it's a hopping place. You got business out there, lots of business opportunity.
I know. Yeah, we're looking at covering. We've expanded what we want to cover. We're covering one county, half of another. But by next year, I want to be in another county up north, and the following year after that, we want to be in West Palm. So we've got a 5-year. I've got a 5-year strategy I've set to cover the entire South Florida. So anything if you know anything about Florida, because are you from Puerto Rico or the Caribbean?
No, originally, no. My mom is from South America. My family's from all over the place. I grew up outside of New York.
Okay, there you go. So if you know anything about South Florida, we got Lake Okeechobee, and we've got West Palm that goes over here, but then we've got Fort Myers, Naples, which is a great area, and then everything on the rest, Dade, Broward, and it just goes down all the way to the Keys. Our 5-year strategy is to go all the way to West Palm, jump over to the West Coast, and then cover all the way down to the Keys. That's what I've set those big, hairy, audacious goals to really cover that area and build up the company. Getting it out of Miami-Dade has been our biggest challenge. That it's one tough nut to crack, and we've just moving north because we need to get out of here in order to grow where there's better markets or better opportunities for us. So that's where we're at, man. So
I'd love to talk with you personally after this. I mean, we can go into it. We'll get plans together. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, you've got a wild market over there, and it's like one of those things, especially when you notice the bigger company or the bigger customers are saying, "Hey, let's lay off." That's when you say, "Well, I want not a bunch of eggs in one basket," kind of a thing. You get lots of volume, and that's where it's at. Yeah.
So we just got a limited ad spend. We need to be like, where can we? I mean, I need to be I'm more of a sniper than a shotgun. I don't have the $20 million budgets that these marketing guys have. They just throw money at it, and that's it. Just keep marketing dollars. We need to.
That's absolutely right.
Can we target? If I can take a market where we've got nothing but $2 million homes and everything is over 150,000, 200,000 home income. And just like the way I would like to be able to target, similarly with a lot of this ad money, the same way that USPS does it with every door direct mail where you can target specific pocket. Yeah. If we can, if those are the things that I'm looking at to really hyper, if I can take a neighborhood that has, a community that has 5,000-6,000 homes in it, which we do have them. They're private communities and they're gated, and we can target them directly in there. Figure out ways to do a combination of even direct mail combination with some online to really target those high money areas, because we're not even allowed to go with salespeople in there to knock doors or do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're really, really looking at that being that surgically specific.
You can do that with AdWords. You can get down and having cohesive advertising across all those mediums is really important.
Right.
You get a good AdWords campaign. You can set it up to just one zip code if you want. You could pick a point and say 5-mile radius around that point. I mean, you can do a lot to limit where it's coming in. And that's the neat thing. That's what we're trying to hit is not everybody has tons and tons of money for ad spend. So our management fees are very, very low. And our intent is to say, hey, we're here to help you grow. And we'll put the work in to make it so that you have long-term growth with us and customers stay with us. But I mean, you're in a great situation. They're just ripe for the picking over there. I mean, that's the way it should be.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I mean, there's challenges, but it's exciting at the same time. It's to be. I guess you have to be super competitive in your mind, and I'm super competitive. I want to I'm just hard that way, competitively wise. So it doesn't faze me to see what's going on. It's more of I can in every downturn, there's always an upside. It's finding that upside where you can, take advantage of it, capitalize on it, not be discouraged by it, because that's what a lot of people do. What am I going to do? They get discouraged. There has to be an upside somewhere. There's, I'm like that. I look at it from a perspective of that gazelle and the lion. Mm-hmm. Every animal has a throat. I just got to find it.
It's understandable.
And that's all I got to do is I got to find that throat, and I can take it down, but I got to find it. And that's where my challenges are. Yeah,
I think there are a lot of businesses and small pest control companies that are doing really well right now. And because their models are built up where they're not as dependent on the larger success, it's just lots and lots of customers. And that's what you're trying to do. And because you're in a high density area, you combine a really good targeted AdWords program with a very specific website prompt and give them good ways. And you can get that. I mean, that's not a problem. And you don't even have to go far.
I'm looking at our creating a really minimum viable product, which we do have, which is our general household service, which is superior to whatever is on the market right now, both from an eco-friendly perspective, both from a control perspective. It's just being able to position it and market it. I mean, I have an MVP product that is superior to anything in the market. I just got to market the crap out of it, get it out there as much as I can to as many people as I can, because it is better.
Yeah, great. Have a name for it. Have a badge for it. An icon for it, so it looks branded, right?
Right.
It's all of it, so it feels like with a small company, a local company, but it all feels good. All the branding feels good.
Yeah, that's where we're going. We're going after that heart love. Feel good. Versus we're killing something. With our brand. I'm looking at a couple of different models that have nothing to do with pest control. I'm looking at the Chick-fil-A model of doing business.
Okay.
And then I'm also looking at companies like Subaru.
Okay.
And
so Chick-fil-A, huge in customer service. Subaru, I love their cars. What do you say about the Subaru one though?
It's just that they're focusing after this love of car making and driving, and the people that the mentality of their client, of who they are. So that's kind of who our client is, except probably a little, they're driving Mercedes and things like that. But we're trying to get to a pest control company that people actually love and have some type of heart connection to, and creating that heart connection versus because it is a cold transaction. I mean, it's transactional in nature. There's not a whole lot. You're not going to have 13 touch points like with other businesses where people are building an addition. It's going to cost them $30,000 and they're really doing a lot of vetting. This is a very simple transaction. Is, you know, 265, $355, $85 every 2 months. And then the whole issue of us, how do we, as we're growing, it's becoming more difficult to, how do we market and stay in front of our existing clients? Because you're coming bi-monthly. In our case, a lot of companies are coming quarterly, and it isn't like the pool guy who's there every week. The landscaper is every 2 weeks. The cleaning lady is there every week or every 2 weeks, and we're coming like every 2 to 3 months. How do we get top of mind awareness with our clients to where they have top of mind awareness of us? Without having a problem, because the only time they have top awareness is, oh, I have another bug problem. You need to come back. So those are the things that I am in my mind building that cult following, sort of say, how do we get into that mind frame of that client and get it so that we hire the people that have that mind frame from marketing, sales to service to the service end. Of that caring company that really does care about you, cares about your pet, cares about the environment. And that's who we're really, so that's why millennials with us is starting to become big, because I see that you mentioned that whole moral thing. We focus on those ethics and morals in our business of why we do it our certain way because of what we believe. So it's our business is based on a belief system, not a service product, commoditize, where we just kill everything and whatever. But we're trying to focus on that caring side of who we are, that it's safer for grandma because she's getting older and her immune systems are compromised. And, that's where we're really going with that, with our service, is a holistic approach in pest management. We're looking at the environment, we're treating the person, and we're, all that is basically how we're structuring it, which is where I really wanted to go. And we got to just be able to duplicate that. I truly believe we have something superior to our competition in that sense, that we have something for the person looking for that versus just looking for a spray service.
And then you just distinguish yourself right there. I mean, that's perfect. You use that, you get the branding around it, and you're distinguished. And you mentioned safety, and that's another thing that's playing into people's minds right now. It's like a safety, feeling safe with the people that are going to come in, feeling like the people that are going to come into my house are going to care. Because, pest control, it's one of those industries where it's like technology. You're dealing with people who may or may not have your best interests in mind. It's like the tech industry is like a lot of jargon. Well, pest control's got a lot of chemicals and some, unsavory customers. That's for sure. But it's like, it's an interesting industry. So giving a very clear representation of yourself and of your company, and making sure that the customer understands, hey, I am like, I have a problem, and I'm excited to get a handle, then this person is going to handle it well and easily. That's great. It's like it gets everything else out of the way.
Because I have a lot of conversation in groups where I'm in a lot of groups in a lot of different industries that cross pest control. And one of the biggest challenges that guys who are solo operators, and they're trying to create the whole idea of a USP. It's very, very, very difficult for them to grasp, because they say, well, how hard is it to create a USP, where a unique selling proposition, where what I'm offering is very simple. It's pest control. I'm killing your pest. I'm going in. I'm giving you good service. And the problem is everybody's offering that. Nobody's offering, we offer bad service and we don't solve your roach problem. They struggle with that whole issue of creating a USP, but since they're not marketing people, they're not designers, they're not branding people, they're technical people. Trying to get them to understand that is very difficult.
So that's really, really good. Because it's interesting. It's like, to a certain point, you're dealing with these unique challenges where your brand has to really stand out and above because you're in such a dense marketplace.
Yeah.
And because you're already grown, right? I mean, you're not just a starter operation.
Right.
So you've got enough to where you're trying to be competitive, really.
Right.
In the beginning, if like, let's say you aren't in that situation, it's like, then you'd really have to get the fundamentals down, which is have a really clear message. Even if what you're saying is, hey, I'm a pest control technician, thumbs up, like I'm a good guy. It's like, okay, that's great. Get that out there. A lot of times you go out and you see these websites that folks have, and it's like, I would be scared to hire that person. And it is not an accurate representation of that person's business. Or there's stuff that's like jumbled all over the place. It's like, no, your media has to be good. It's like, it's important that your media is good because it represents you. And so that's where we come in, I mean, these guys don't necessarily have that knowledge or have those skills. And so what we say is we do that for you, get in touch with us. We'll take care of it. Our full prices for a website and for the software suite is $160 a month with the 40% off. That's under $100 a month. So, you get a website for under $100 a month. You can get professional setup for it. We can do a bigger website than that if you'd like to, it's like, but these are really powerful tools that are a really important way to start and to get a message across to your consumers, to your customers. At least when you're coming over here, it's like, yeah, I'm a good, safe place, and you can count on us to take care of your services.
Got it.
Yeah, and then after that, it's like it's only more fun from there. It's like you want to get more competitive, get more competitive. Yeah. There's a lot of fun things to do in marketing.
Yeah, we're looking at those things, and it's just I've got a list of 3,000 things I'd like to do. But we're like what do we need to do right now, and we're trying to even use we're donating a lot of services to needy people who are hurting.
That's a great thing.
Trying to understand, and I hate to capitalize on that because it's more of a personal thing, but at the same time is how do we create a good human interest story around it, with some PR, because there is some need, and I think we're wanting to go into a neighborhood where we were for 3 years, where these were government housing, and people are living in deplorable conditions. We've been looking at ways to turn that into a documentary.
Wow, great!
For marketing as a human interest story on, how we can do something in certain areas, even if nobody can. So
and you can have PR, you can have we do public relations. So we would contact local media if you have that, if you want to we schedule interviews so that you have an opportunity to meet with people and just talk about it. It's not something that people want to necessarily maximize. You don't want to feel like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff and I'm going to show it, but it is important to show because it shows your character.
That's where we struggle.
That do that all the time.
I struggle with that.
It's very important. You have to stand up in it, because what you're saying is, hey, I do these things not because I want the show. I do these things because this is the kind of company we are.
Right.
And that's important to know. My partner has been doing that kind of work his entire career. He goes in and helps the elderly. He's donated new mattresses to a number of different people. I mean, you get in some situations and you see what it's like, and it's like, whoa. Yeah. This person's caretaker maybe didn't do the right, should have called earlier or something like that. And you just got to handle it. And it's important to share that.
So we're looking at, but we're, that's just who we are as a culture. And the culture is me, at this point. And who, what everything that I've done is just based around my values. Not around a marketing strategy or a how do I create a system to duplicate my company to be, on the PCT 100. It's not based on that. It's based on fundamental core beliefs, and I've done enough studying about what I know about this business and the chemicals and the things that I just didn't agree with in the industry. And I decided I'll do something totally against the grain, which people love me or hate me for it. It depends on which side of the aisle you're on. But again, it's based on those values. It's based on what I know, what I believe. How do we take those values and turn them into where we can duplicate them in the right people and then basically be that kind of company that is known for the company that really cares about the people, not necessarily. And I think the growth comes from that natural, the natural progression of that. It's just very difficult to do in a place like Miami where, a lot of people just don't care. I mean, nobody cares. And you're trying to be that, like I said, that's why I'm looking at Subaru. It's not one of these brands that you normally think about, but they have an extremely loyal following.
Oh, yeah.
And people will buy the third, fourth, generation of that vehicle.
Generations. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking at that as a generational company. We're dealing with the Gen Xers. We're dealing with the iGeners now. A lot of our baby boomers are going to be gone pretty soon.
Yeah.
And we got to think about that.
Well, you mentioned something really good. You said I wasn't thinking about this from the marketing perspective. You're coming up with this stuff because it's your personal values. This is where partnerships and teamwork really come in play. And this is what we try to do is, you're running a pest control company, and I mean, it's happening, always, right? Literally right now it's happening. You got to run a pest control company. Right. And it's like, so we manage marketing. Right. It's like this is where you've taken the ball a long way. And then you get with a company that you can trust, whoever it is, people who can trust, who are experts at what they do. And you come together and you do something that's greater than the sum of its parts. Right. Right. And that's what I've found in my life. I am a developer, but I'm marketing by nature. That's where I started. And I learned to code a long time ago, but I have an entire team that does coding, and they do it way better than I do. And,
yeah, and that's where I was. My SEO took me till this point, and it took me a couple of years to find a company that I felt comfortable with from a marketing that's going to handle our SEO, and it was a huge chunk of change, to get started up. And so we're seeing what they're really good at or their capabilities, because obviously we're really early on in the relationship of what really they're really solid on, and then what we might have to say, listen, we might have to take this part, like for our social media. I'm about going big on the social media, like posting 7 times a day. That stuff we have to bring in house.
Yes.
To find somebody who's going to deal with the media engagement as an agency, very, very difficult, because they're going to be posting.
Cost prohibitive.
And once a week. So that's something that we're looking at for doing our videos, because I'm posting videos 3 to 5 times a week on YouTube. So my major business is coming from a lot of YouTube. So we're looking at that, our Facebook engagement, bringing all that in house, but a lot of the other stuff like the ads, might still be, since we're so small, to hire an agency versus trying to bring in a crew of 5 specialists to be a one developer and one a marketer and one a copywriter, and managing all that, because then I need a director to manage all that.
Yes. Yeah.
It is time consuming to manage a creative division.
It is. And that's where, well, that's where you get a partner in that, and then we don't do the social media in the same way that you're talking about. So like you handle social media, that's kind of has to be an in-house thing. Yeah. But everything else, in terms of your messaging, in terms of your AdWords, all the way to your website, when there's one company, when there's one organization that's handling that, and they're responsible for your branding and they've got experience, it's like, then you have an opportunity to really get things moving, because it's not disparate stuff, and it's not you doing it yourself. And you can get really powerful with that.
Right. No, I agree.
And our service is we to start up, even for large custom websites, they're less than $1,000 to start up, depending on your pages, but usually it's about $500 to start up, depending on what kind of content you've got. We're very affordable services for very high quality and, experienced technicians, basically, our developers and our staff.
Sweet. So hey man, we're going on 2 hours here. Anything you want to add?
You're great. Thank you very much. No, this has been a real pleasure.
I mean, I got time. If you got content, man, I got time. So
I would love to. I mean, I'm happy to. It sounds like you're with the company, which is wonderful. If you ever want to pick my brain or anything for
no, we will.
regarding, please.
I got stuff. Like I said, like I'm letting them do what they're going to launch and get all this thing done. I mean, it's been a process of almost 2 months of getting all this doesn't happen because we had a lot. I mean, we had a lot of pages we were going to bring over, a lot of content that we wanted to bring over that we had pre-written, and doing something different. So it's been a real challenge for them. And plus we're looking at a lot of the, the social media marketing and the ads that we're looking at. So it's just a matter now of, giving it 3, 6, 9 months and evaluating on where the ROI is, what we need to tweak. And there's a whole lot of things. You got to have the meetings. You have to have the hard conversations. A lot of guys think they're going to just turn it over and then not get involved and not know what the KPIs are, not know what the analytics are saying, what they need to do. So it's a lot of involvement on my part to have those meetings, look at the analytics. I mean, everything else, analytics is going to trump everything else. And the traffic is either there. What are the conversion? What's converting? What's not converting? And those are conversations. They're the average pest control guy isn't prepared to have because he doesn't know the questions to ask. I understand the back end analytics of it. I'm looking at it and saying, okay, if can we tweak this way and to get those calls out of the way, because we're not even servicing that market, and just try to get these calls. And then and let me ask you a question. What do you, this is interesting because most guys aren't involved in this, and I'm kind of, I like it. And it is more geared, I guess, but it has this sleazy connotation to it about sales funnels and using sales funnels in the process.
I think part of the reason a sales funnel feels sleazy is because of all the marketing companies that sell them are selling, again, out of the box stuff. And it's like the best way to do it. I mean, a sales funnel is just a generic word, right? It's like if you're doing an AdWords campaign correctly and you're getting it set up so that the landing page is right, you're essentially creating a sales funnel that's good, but without the same structured feeling of it. But I mean, that's what you're doing is you're walking through somebody's process. You're trying to say, hey, if I'm the customer, I need the service. What can I do to just get the service? You know what I mean? And so we're trying to take all of that out of the place.
Yeah, because if you come from a traditional sales background, for those of you old guys out there, a sales funnel was the customer comes in through here, the phone goes here, you flow chart it, it goes to this department, and then it gets followed up by this person, and it gets put into the CRM. And that's a whole different mentality of sales funneling. For tracking KPIs, we're talking about in a digital world of, from the time they click that ad, they go to a landing page that actually sells them the product and converts them through a bunch of neurolinguistic programming and visuals and, a whole bunch of things go into play to get that sales funnel right. And most guys that are just developers aren't going to do a good job. You need an actual team to look at all the little parts of that and say,
great explanation. And, I should say that maybe a little more clearly is, one of the things you said is the analytics is what that kind of the heart for us. The end of the day, what we're looking at is your revenue. I mean, that's our driving factor. All I care about is that my companies are growing in their revenue. So the sales funnel is effectively, it's, hey, someone has a problem. What is the process of them getting from their problem, they've got pests, to becoming your customer? And that's all we're trying to do, right? And we take them through as simplified of a process, as non-convoluted as a process as possible. And the more you're able to do that, the more you're able to decrease the actual cost of each lead. Right. And that's important. You want those leads coming and staying.
The reason I'm asking you this question is because this has been on a thought process for me, not for the last 2 years, but in the thought process for me for really the last 7 or 8. where I come from a sales background.
Yes.
I've done outside sales. I've done B2B sales. I've done phone sales, $13 million territories.
Yeah.
And I understand sales. I understand it. Marketing is a little bit still something for me that's different because I don't understand a lot of the marketing. But I get the gist of it. And I'm trying to get rid of, believe it or not, the salesperson. I'm getting them out of the way.
Yeah.
And the reason is the cost of sale in our businesses was so high that when I used to go visit somebody and then to quote them this was a $1,200 to $2,000 a year client.
Right.
And what I found out is on my phone sales experience, I said, let me try and not do any more visits and stop visiting because it's taking a huge chunk of my day. Let me see if I can sell it over the phone. And people said, you can't sell this kind of service over the phone. I said, you don't have 35 years of sales experience.
Yeah.
And I've done it. So I have my perspective of my experience, but I said, I want to go now to the point where we don't have salespeople. We have customer relationship managers where they're there as facilitators to help in the transaction, but they're not pitching the product. They're not trying to close. They're not being that, well, you need to sign now. It's a softer approach where it's really, we understand that the control is going to be because of the new technology. A lot of people in our industry won't accept, especially the older people, that it's really a buyer's market, not a seller's market. And I'm trying to automate that entire process from start to finish in our company to where we only need involved if you want to talk to us, because there are a lot of people who are introverted. They're busy. They're just used to that dealing over text and social media, to where we create an entire process where the entire order process from start to almost scheduling is done without a person involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting that person out of the way completely, because the costs are so high that we need to get that cost down in order to be competitive. That's one of the areas. So where if the person says, I need to talk to you, there's somebody there all the time that is able to interact in the way that customer wants to interact, whereas via email, text, or call. And then just facilitate the transaction versus the traditional sales prospecting and then closing of the sale. And that's what we're focused on right now is how do we let our website, the marketing and all do that to the point that we can integrate the website into our contract area to where then that generates a contract, sends it back, they sign it, it comes back to us. And then the only time we really have to contact them is what day and time would you like to schedule this?
Yes.
And just basically have a streamlined process where the human aspect of it is greatly reduced because of the hiring challenges that we have.
Right.
That we can't get people to work. We have to figure out how do we automate this entire process. And this is one of the things that I'm focused on that is going to be, a lot of people will be against it listening to me because say, well, that's so impersonal. I want to talk to people. I want to see the property before I do the job. That's fine if you got all that time on your hands. When you get to $14,000 a month of production, you won't be able to, you don't even care about toilet paper. You won't have time to use it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's it. So talk to me about that. And what do you see your company doing?
Yeah.
And that's because you're in that space. And I think that is something that's highly interesting to me. Even to the point of bots handling part of that conversation.
Right. I mean, this is really interesting because what you're saying is really core to the issue, right? It's like at the end of the day, a pest control company is healthy if they can sit back and customers are coming in. I mean, you want customers coming to you. If there are not customers coming to you, that's a problem. So the sales is an interesting thing because we shouldn't, right now with the way technology is, we shouldn't see a lot of need for outgoing salesmen unless you're trying to go get commercial work or something like this. Otherwise, it's kind of more like order taking, and that's where our software comes in play in two parts. One, we're marketing you, so you're getting those leads coming in. If you're not getting those leads coming in, something's broken and it needs to be fixed. No matter what size pest control operating unit you are, you should have leads coming in. We should be making your phone ring. And after that, it's getting everything else out of the way. So if they want to, from the very get-go, they can get the app and install it and have your information and send the service request. Or they can send a lead contact through the contact form and you can just add them to the app, please.
So if they do contact us through the form or the app,
yes,
through your software, is there also a way to automate that contract so that it gets auto-generated and sent out to them so that they can sign it, get it back so that then you can do the scheduling on your app?
So currently we are communication first. The next step is to take care of all of those things, the contracts, the payments, and have them on board as a customer. And that is the direction we're going.
Got it.
Because we work with so many things, it's like we're focused on the fundamentals at first.
Right.
And you'll see in the next 2 or 3 months, the ability to customers to sign up for your services right through the app right away, and already use the already service of being able to suggest their time and their schedule desired. So it's like it's taking away the manual follow up and then the back and forth and putting it in a place that's easy and singular for you.
Right. Do you see yourselves going into and this is a totally different space for you, to the actual, not the CRM part, but the actual route management aspect, like a pest routes or
for sure.
Or a desk or something like that? Because the hardest part I'm finding is getting an integration of streamlining across a platform that could do, because they either great at doing the financial modeling of tracking orders and tracking contracts and tracking this, but then there is no integration from website. This is where the big challenge for me is. I'm thinking 10 years ahead.
Yes. Because
where I come from technology, and I'm thinking, here we are, and this is just to create a simple, even a plugin API that I can take the lead from the website directly into the management software that I'm using for managing my routes, to then we can then take it over from there, instead of having two platforms and then saying we have to manually enter this over here to track it. This is the big challenge that I'm having, where I'm challenging guys like Pest Routes, Gorilla Desk, and the other ones that are like Pest Pack, to, having understand we live in an online world, and in just the scheduling online without integrating some type of IO where we can integrate these two would be massive for a company like me, where I only spend maybe right now on 2 routes 15 minutes a day scheduling, really, but the majority of my part really is focused on that, answering those texts and piping it through somewhere where they can integrate together. Whether it's, hey, the same thing for, like Salesforce.com, they got, but we need to be able to integrate that somehow. Right. And right now it has to be manually put in and then tracked on another CRM, which is eventually what I have. This is where, we if we can get that especially with the major players, get some type of integration from website into our system seamlessly, to where we get an alert and say, hey, you got a new lead. Write up the quote, send it out. It comes back in. If we just capture the NAP, easy.
Excellent.
That's what I'm looking for. And if somebody's listening to me, if we can capture that from the website, hey, we got a NAP from the website. For those of you in paper world, it's name, address, phone number, and in this case, email. We capture that information, pipe it in, easy, and says, hey, you've got a new lead in Pest Routes. We open up that lead. I don't have to look at the text. I don't have to. We can get our phone company to send us a text, and it pipes in to Pest Route, and then we just this is the kind of technology we're looking at to integrate it.
Yeah.
And it's just not there yet. It really isn't.
So, yeah, and this is what we're trying to accomplish here too, is we've got the opportunity to integrate into those systems. And rather than doing that, what we decided is, hey, look, we've used those systems and we know their follies, and we've built this on state-of-the-art technologies. And coming from the tech world, we thought we could just offer a better product. So stay tuned, and down the line, you'll see there aren't going to be features that you prefer over Pest Request. Pest Request will do it all.
Right.
From the lead acceptance, because we already have the back end. The rest is the data management. So there's just a little bit of a lift left for us to integrate the payments and integrate the rest of the CRM functionality. Otherwise, we've got a built-in CRM. I mean, that's what Pest Request is about. It's about managing your leads, managing your customers. Right. It's just that last invoicing piece, and we will be adding that.
Yeah, the scheduling, invoicing, tracking. So, I mean, the reason I went, just to tell you the difference of why I went with Pest Routes versus, they were really advanced. They're kind of between enterprise and medium. They're not for the solo operator who wants to just operate one route forever. It's overkill. It's borderline already, but they've been in it long enough that they got a lot of the bugs out, versus a lot of new software that wasn't there yet, and a lot of the features we needed were already there. I didn't go with PestPack because it's just too hard to deal with. All of the software is just too big, and it's really enterprise, and the attitude they had towards the smaller people just isn't there. So I said, Pest Routes is there. So we've got full functionality for scheduling, contract writing, chemical tracking, and what do you call it, for credit card processing in one, plus really good reporting and really good management tools. So the only thing we can't track really is expenses, which is fine. We do that in QuickBooks anyway. We can always export, but that's why we went with them. And what we're wanting now is to go and the sales part, they do have a sales CRM that is linked. The problem is it doesn't link to any of the sources that we're getting it. It all has to be manually entered into either system. Right. What we're looking at is, hey, lead capturing from a website, lead capturing from Angie's List, lead capturing, and it pumps it into one place and then says, bloop. It's you've got a lead from, whoever, Yelp or whatever, and be able to create a platform that takes all of those leads and then says, you've got a lead from this client. And then we don't have to enter it, because then we need to hire another person just to manage all that input of data. And we're looking to totally eliminate that person from that process through, whatever type of pipe that we can use. So that's really where we're, I think there's a lot of guys out there who want this, because a lot of guys are doing the Angie's List. They are doing the next door. They're doing it all. And they're finding we need one person or two people just to manage all these inbound leads that we're getting. And then we have to, and then you also have the human error of when you're inputting it, did you get the right phone number, the right address, the right email? And, and that's huge for us right now. So I'm challenging the industry to I love it. Yeah. To do something like that. Challenge. Because that's where realistically we are. I can literally run a business with one person behind a computer, taking in all the leads, doing the customer service, scheduling one or two routes, and manage a territory literally as a as a traffic cop, managing everything in the territory, where there's no need to be 5 different people. Right now, for every 10 techs you have in the field, you need 10 people in the back end. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And we are here for where the rubber meets the road for the smaller operators right now. And you get to Pest Routes, and it's a little bit of a different monthly budget in terms of expense for these. And I think what you'll see is that's where we're headed. We're headed to solve that problem. Our intent is to be
company first. We're about growth for those companies. And
right.
we do that by going from the customer's perspective first. So you've got this unique Pest Request is a little bit unique in that we are customer first, and we are about growing your company through marketing.
Right.
The rest of the tools everybody's got. I mean, those tools are ubiquitous, right? Those, once you get to a certain point, it's like, yeah, being able to have the contract on there, taking the money, and scheduling. It's like, all right, those are pretty universal throughout. They're all over the place in every industry. If you're a massage therapist, you can have those softwares. That's great. And we will be implementing those. The communication and the making it so that customers are yours, turning leads into customers. That's what we're focused on. But man, I'm excited to get to that point, Franklin, because it is exciting. It's like there is a gap, and yeah, we're headed to fill that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I have another question that's very serious on my mind through this whole conversation. You have an awesome beard.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Likewise. Thank you very much.
So, but when did you decide? Because I'm going the route you're going. I think I've seriously thought about shaving and getting it off.
You hung in there way longer than I had. Mine. When did I decide? I'll be honest. I think my wife probably helped that decision happen. But man, once you get there, it's pretty easy to maintain.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it because
get a fog-free mirror.
Because I'm getting you're good. I got a spot back here.
That's nice. You're so nice and thick up there. I say keep it. That's great.
Really? Yeah. I said, man, I'm thinking about one day just
Yep. Yeah.
And with the beard, so I said, man, that looks good. I said,
thank you.
I could try that. So,
right.
But cool, man. You've been so awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for being on.
Thank you very much for having me on here.
Yeah. And then hopefully, if somebody can help, you can help somebody and
please
to give you a call. What's the website again?
Please give us a shout. Yeah, pestrequest.com. Please give us a shout. We got a number on there, and the code for your listeners is Pest Geek.
Sweet,
all
man.
Caps.
Sweet. All caps.
Frank,
awesome,
thank
dude.
you very much.
So much,
have
man.
a great day.
You too,
all
buddy.
Right,
I might get this up today.
Please.
If not, probably tomorrow before Saturday.
Okay, great. Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciated chatting with you today.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Take care.
Cool. Thanks, Franklin.